Hi, in this video we're looking at the health aspects that arise from where a person lives. We're looking at the oppositions, which are 180, the squares, which are 90, the quincunxes, which are 150, and 210. Progress chart of the person on the outer ring and Australia's chart on the inner ring. You can see a lot more defined red lines. The symptoms of the person were walking bent over, pain in the hips, pain in the groin, tiredness. There was also a continued ankle and shin pain, particularly in her right leg. Now, this was day and night, pain that was day and night. And it was particularly more painful when it was cold. Now, if we look at her chart here, you'll definitely see, if you're familiar with charts, and I'll try and illustrate the house, which is the inner circle where you've got 1 to 12, that illustrates the house, and I'll try and bring that to your attention, is that firstly, if we look at Uranus, which is in the 12th house, that's on the eastern side, it's on the left side, I'll say, because it is the eastern side in a chart, but really if you're looking at a chart, it depends on how you're looking at the chart, whether it's east or west, but for some reason people put, the computer puts the chart for the east on the left hand side. But just before the ascendant, you see Uranus in the 12th house in Cancer. Uranus rules the shin and ankles. And Capricorn, Saturn, which is opposite, and the 10th house, which is above, rule the air, rule pain. It brings about pain because it's an active house or sign. In this sign you see both Saturn and Capricorn together, plus Jupiter, which rules the hips, is opposing Uranus, so it's unpredictable as well. Normally it's the workhouse, but you have to recognize that because it works, and if you overwork an area, or if there's an opposition, as we see here, it will bring about pain. And we're looking at the outer ring is the progress chart of the person. The inner ring is the Australian chart, and it's progress planets for 2018. So you have Uranus on the left, and you have Jupiter, which rules the leg, on the right, and you have it in the sign of Capricorn. Closely by it, you also have the planet Saturn at 16 degrees Capricorn on the right. It's the green symbol. Now, I'm emphasizing these points for people who don't know astrology, and so you can understand it more fully. So this will contribute to pain in the leg, but I'd like to say here that the person didn't have pain until this year, actually until a few months ago. So this has contributed to the problems that she already had. The next aspect I'd like to bring to you, and this again I'll stress, is the progress chart of the person and Australia's chart. Now, as I said, she can find herself becoming very tired. Now, if you notice, in the 9th house at the top, it has a 9, more or less a 12 o'clock, if you're looking at a clock. You then look down, you'll see that Mercury, which is the mind, at 21 degrees Aries, is opposite Neptune. Now, Neptune is the time for sleeping. It rules the unconscious mind, it rules institutes and things like that. It rules places of quietness, and it's also ruled by Pisces, or the planet for Pisces, and it is 21 degrees Libra. Now this is the same degree as the Mercury on the 21 degrees at the top there, and you'll see Neptune on the outer ring of the progress chart of the person. So you might just feel tired. So that's one of her symptoms. Going back to Uranus in opposite Jupiter, Jupiter, I forgot to tell you, is rules the hips. Plain and simple, the hips. And she has great pain in the hips. Now, also let's look at Australia's Pluto is 16 degrees Gemini. That is opposite Uranus. Now, people often have circulation problems in Australia. So that's a symptom of a problem, a health problem in Australia. It's not marked there. Pluto is the red symbol on the left-hand side, which states 16 degrees Gemini. And because the arrows are particularly noticing problems with the inner and outer ring. It's not noticing problems within each sign. But you will see there that there is problems, and you often see people, elderly people, walking around on crutches, having to do with hip problems. Now, it's the Pluto, which is death and resurrection, in Gemini, is opposite to Uranus in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius rules the hips. So we have a lot of hip problems. This is the reason why I would not say that Pluto is a minor planet, because it is so obvious when you look at health problems that you'll see the effects of Pluto and where it is having to do with the health aspects of Australia. The next aspect we look at is Mars, which is in the third house at the bottom. Now it's closely conjunct, or similar degrees, same degrees, maybe different minutes, Saturn. I've already explained the influences of Saturn, but it's conjunct. When it's conjunct, there's not the same problem. It means that there's probably action in working. Could even be positive aggressive. That's the personality side. But you've also got muscle in the vertebrae, which is not negative, but it's a positive one. It's only affected when you see a square. And what we're seeing here, if you look at the 6th house, which happens to be the health area in astrology, the 6th house plus Virgo and Mercury, that's the health area, and this is what's being affected in the girls' health. And when you see its opposite, you also can relate the cell salts to being in a negative sense, absorbed possibly into the bone structure, because Mars rules potassium phosphate, and this is heating up the back because the Capricorn rules the vertebrae and the whole spine, you can more or less say, the bones of the body as well. And so this is going into that area. We also being fine potassium probably into the, no, I was going to say Uranus, but Uranus is 12 degrees, so it's before Mars. And so the effect is where you follows on by degree what enters into certain areas of the body. She's working against herself because, or in the areas of the country, she's working against things that are in that country, which is causing her pain, physical pain. So Jupiter rules silica, and it's opposite to Jupiter. And as I've said before, Jupiter rules the hips. So there's pain in the hips as well, with Saturn, her Saturn being squaring Jupiter in the 6th house. It will progress, but it'll be a slow progression because it's a degree a year. That's for the Sun, and it's slower for the outer planets as it progresses. So these are the things that will be affecting her and why they're affecting her. Because she's in a mutable sign, a talkative sign, the 3rd house is a talkative sign, the 6th house is a talkative sign, a mutable sign, and so is the 12th and 9th. By discussing it, it can ease the pain, and that's what she's told me, is that since I've explained this to her, her pain has lessened and she's able to cope more. Now I'm going to finish there. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Of course, there's a lot more that can be said, and I just haven't the time. Thank you very much for listening, and bye for now.